Hello, my name is Antonio Capulera, and tonight I want to speak to you about one of the rarest forces in all of art, performance, and human nature. Something invisible yet instantly recognized. Something soft as a smile yet as powerful as a sword. Something that can turn a stranger into a legend, a character into an icon, and a simple moment into a memory. I'm talking about the charm. The charm is difficult to define because it lives beyond ordinary language. It is not merely beauty. It is not simply confidence. It is not talent alone. It is the mysterious union of presence, spirit, timing, warmth, danger, wit, and soul. It is the thing that makes you look twice, the thing that makes you stay, the thing that makes you remember. Some people enter a room and are seen. Others enter a room and are felt. And that's the different. And it's often because of the charm. In storytelling, the charm is sacred. The charm may have spectacle, noise, and grand effects, but without charm, it can still feel empty. Why? Because the audiences do not only fall in love with the plots, they fall in love with presence. They fall in love with characters who feel alive. A truly memorable character is not remembered because they were loud. They are remembered because they carried a spark. Think of a grin that appears before the body does. Think of the adventurer whose confidence makes danger feel playful. Think of the performer whose face enters the frame and suddenly the entire world of the film becomes more alive. That's the charm at its finest work. It creates atmosphere. The charm creates anticipation. It creates delight. And then there's the smile. The smile may be one of the oldest symbols of charm in existence. A smile can disarm fear. A smile can invite trust. A smile can conceal secrets. A smile can suggest that the person before you knows something that you do not. And this is why the smile is so powerful in art. It contains duality. It can be warm, mischievous, seductive, wise, dangerous, innocent, or eternal. One expression, many meanings. The greatest characters understand this instinctively. Their smile becomes part of their mythology. Something about it comforts us. Sometimes it unsettles us. Sometimes it promises adventure. Sometimes it tells us chaos is near. But whatever form it takes, it leaves an imprint. The charm is also protection. When I say that nothing can hurt you when you've got the charm, I do not mean life will never test you. I mean that the charm can give you a form of armor. No blade can seem to pierce. It allows you to move through hardship without losing your light. It lets you be wounded without becoming bitter about it. It lets you be challenged without becoming ordinary. The charming spirit can enter dark places and still bring color. It can face rejection and still remain radiant. It can stand in the storm and somehow make the storm part of the performance. This is why the charm has always seemed magical. It transforms burden into style, fear to play, and the struggle into story. Actors who possess true charm understand something that it's even deeper than having technique. Technique can teach us lines, movement, precision, but charm? Well, it gives life to the technique. It turns skill into delight. It turns performance into invitation. It makes the audience feel that they are not merely watching, that they are participating in something alive. And there are many skilled performers. Fewer are magnetic, fewer are unforgettable. But to be unforgettable, one must carry that strange electricity that cannot be manufactured. The camera sees this. The audience feels this. And time, well, it remembers it. An artist must study this, because to paint a character is not merely to paint eyes, hair, costume, or shape. It is to paint essence. It is to ask, what made this figure linger in my imagination? What smile did they wear? What mystery did they carry? What joy did they awaken inside of me? What danger did they conceal? When an artist understands the charm, the canvas changes. The painting stops being an image and becomes an encounter. So if you carry the charm, guard it, refine it, use it generously. Let it bring warmth where the world is cold. Let it bring wonder where the world is dull. Let it bring laughter where the world is heavy. And if you seek the charm, remember this. This does not come from pretending to be someone else. It comes from awakening what is truly uniquely alive inside of you. Because the most powerful charm of all is authenticity, touched by a bit of imagination. And this is why memorable characters never truly disappear. Their smile remains. Their spirit remains. Their magic remains. Inside the mind of an artist, the charm lives forever. And if charm lives forever, then we must ask where it comes from. Does it come from the face? Sometimes. Does it come from the voice? Sometimes. Does it come from beauty, fashion, fame, or power? Well, occasionally these things can decorate it, but they cannot create it. The true source of charm is animation of the spirit. It is when something within a person is so alive that it spills outward, reaching out to others. This is why two people can wear the same clothes, speak the same lines, and stand in the same light, and yet only one of them becomes unforgettable. One may imitate the surface. The other carries the flame. There is a difference between appearance and essence. Appearance is what the eye receives. Essence is what the soul recognizes. The charm belongs to essence. It is why it can be found in the handsome and the unusual, the elegant and the eccentric, the heroic and the mischievous. It does not obey ordinary rules. It chooses its own vessels. Some of the most beloved characters in history were not perfect. They had odd habits, dangerous edges. Some had mysterious smiles, wild laughter, scars, arrogance, loneliness, and even madness. Yet, these very qualities, when shaped through art, become part of their magnetism. Imperfection often gives charm its texture. Flawlessness can be admired, but strangeness is often remembered. This is one of the secret laws of character creation. Never polish away the mystery. Leave something untamed. Leave something unpredictable. Leave a shadow behind the smile. Leave the audience with wonder that lies beneath the surface. Because wonder is the doorway through which fascination enters. And then there is rhythm. See, the charm has rhythm. Watch the great performers and you will see it. They know when to pause. They know when to smile. They know when to say less. They know when silence is more powerful than speech. They understand that timing can turn an ordinary gesture into enchantment. A glance held 1 second longer. A grin before the line even arrives. A smile instead of a shout. A stiffness in a room that is full of noise. These small choices become large, I guess you would say, magic. The artist must learn this as well. In painting, rhythm becomes placement, contrast, color, tension, movement, and restraint. Too much detail can suffocate the mystery. Too much explanation can kill the wonder. Sometimes, one expression, one eye, one strange smile says more than 1,000 decorations. This is why the smile remains one of the most greatest symbols in all of visual storytelling. It is a bridge between inner life and outer form. A smile reveals, but it also conceals. It welcomes, but it can warn. It can say, "Come closer," or "Enter at your own risk." No matter the most iconic faces in art and cinema, they often carry unforgettable smiles. When you possess the charm, hardship does not disappear, but it loses authority over you. The world may criticize you. It may misunderstand you, envy you, or doubt you. But if your inner light remains intact, their judgment cannot define you. They can bruise the surface, but they cannot touch the source. This is why the charm can feel like protection. It keeps the spirit playful in serious times. It keeps imagination alive in the dry seasons. It keeps dignity standing when circumstances try to bend it. It is not denial of pain, it is the mastery over pain's ability to reduce you. So cultivate what is alive inside of you. Feed your humor. Protect your curiosity. Keep your mystery. Just refine your style. Sharpen your craft. But above all, do not betray the spark that makes you singular. Many lose their charm not because the world stole it, but because they abandoned it to become acceptable. Never trade enchantment for approval. The memorable ones rarely do. This is why decades pass and their presence still moves through culture like perfume in the air. A grin remembered, a voice echoed, a silhouette recognized, a feeling that returns the moment their image appears. This is not accident. This is the power of the charm. And inside the mind of an artist, the highest task is not merely to copy what people look like, but to reveal what made them impossible to forget. And once you understand that, you begin to see the charm everywhere. Not only in actors, not only in legends, but in the architecture of life itself. Some cities have charm. Some old streets have charm. Certain rooms, certain songs, certain voices, certain seasons carry it. Why? Because the charm is the feeling of life arranged beautifully enough to awaken your heart. A weathered cafe with worn floors and warm light. An old theater with velvet curtains and ghosts on the walls. A carnival at dusk. Rain on the cobblestones. A crooked grin in the candlelight. These things charm us because they suggest a story larger than themselves. Charm is never only about what is present. It is about what is implied. It whispers that something meaningful has happened here or is about to happen now. That is why atmosphere matters. The charming character does not exist alone. They shape the world around them. Their room changes when they enter it. The music feels different. The colors deepen. The ordinary becomes theatrical. Presence alters environment. This is the secret power of certain stars and icons. They do not merely perform with the scene, they generate the scene. Their energies become part of the set design, part of the lighting, part of the memory. Even silence around them feels intentional. And so the artist asks, well, how do I paint that? How do I capture not just the face, but the field around the face? Not just the smile, but the atmosphere created by that smile. This is where art rises beyond documentation. A camera can record features, but a true artist seeks vibration. Sometimes that means exaggeration. Sometimes that means symbolism. Sometimes that means impossible colors, dreamlike shadows, theatrical contrast, or backgrounds that speak in a secret language. Because reality alone is not always enough to reveal truth. Sometimes truth must be enchanted to be seen clearly. Consider the great characters who endure through generations. Many of them are larger than logic. They smile too knowingly. They move too elegantly. They survive too beautifully. They speak with too much style. Yet this is precisely why they live on. We do not return to them for realism alone. We return to them for the heightened life. We return for concentrated essence. And there is another law of charm: generosity. True charm is not vanity. Vanity says, "Look at me." Charm says, "Come with me." Vanity consumes attention. Charm creates experience. Vanity grows tiring. Charm renews itself because it gives pleasure outwardly. This is why the most beloved performers often seem to be enjoying the audience as much as the audience enjoys them. There is play in them, invitation in them. They share delight rather than hoard it. The audience senses this and responds with affection. Even danger can become charming when touched by elegance. The rogue with wit, the villain with style, the trickster with a smile. We know they are risky, yet we cannot look away. Why? Because the charm seduces attention by turning tension into fascination. It allows darkness to wear velvet gloves. But beware the counterfeit. There is imitation of the charm. Loudness mistaken for magnetism. Arrogance mistaken for confidence. Manipulation mistaken for mystery. Counterfeit charm may attract briefly, but it cannot endure. It lacks warmth. It lacks the soul. It exhausts rather than inspires. Real charm leaves people brighter than it found them. So if you are building character in paint, in performance, in life, ask deeper questions. Not how do I appear impressive? Ask what in me is alive enough to awaken in others. Not how do I seem mysterious. Ask, what truths in me are still unfolding? Not, how do I get attention? Ask, what experience can I create? Then the work changes. The smile changes. The eyes change. The room changes. And perhaps this is why nothing can hurt you when you've got the charm. Because the charm is rooted in creative life itself. And creative life is endless regeneration. It can be wounded, but it returns. It can be doubted, but it reappears. It can be mocked, but it outlasts mockery through beauty, wit, and wonder. The world may strike the mask, but the source keeps smiling. And when the source keeps smiling, it teaches one of the oldest lessons ever known. Power does not always arrive with force. Sometimes it arrives with grace. Sometimes it arrives laughing. Sometimes it arrives dressed in color, carrying wit, moving lightly through the world that has grown heavy. Many people understand strength because they only recognize hardness. They think power must be loud, severe, rigid, or feared. But there's another kind of power, the power that charms, disarms, and transforms. Water has this power. Music has this power. Beauty has this power. And a truly memorable character has this power. They enter without demanding belief, and yet belief follows them. This is why the charm can move across generations. Techniques age, trends expire. Fashion rotates, but the charm survives because it speaks into something older than fashion and deeper than trend. It touches archetype, the rogue, the guide, the jester, the king, the dreamer, the cat who smiles in the dark, the adventurer who's laugh at danger, the heir who carries an ancient face into a new era. These forms return again and again because the human heart still recognizes them. Every great artist, knowingly or not, enters one of these rivers. They become more than themselves for a moment. They carry a timeless pattern through a modern body. That is why certain faces feel instantly mythic. They awaken memory older than memory. And the artist's role is sacred here. The artist preserves these visitations. While time erases buildings, fashion, headlines, and noise, art can keep the spark alive. A painting can hold an expression after the room has emptied. A film can preserve a glance after the actor has left the set. And a song can keep a mood breathing long after the night has passed. Art is one of the ways charm defeats time. Now think about that. A smile painted centuries ago can still arrest a stranger today. A scene filmed decades ago can still electrify someone born long after it was made. A character reimagined in one age can still delight children in another. This is no small thing. It means enchantment can travel. It means presence can be transmitted. It means beauty can outlive the body that carried it. And so when you paint with reverence. You are not merely arranging pigment. You may be building a vessel for memory. When you perform with sincerity. You're not merely reciting lines. You may be opening a door through which wonder enters someone's life. When you live with a style of spirit. You are not merely surviving days. You are shaping the atmosphere others will remember around you. So people leave information behind them. Others leave impression. The charming leave both feeling and story. Years later, people may forget exact words, but they remember how the presence felt. Light, dangerous, funny, magnetic, warm, strange, alive. This is why the smile matters so much. It is often the signature of inner weather. A genuine smile says, "There is life here." A mysterious smile says, "There's more here." And a mischievous smile says, "Come closer." A sovereign smile says, "I know who I am." To master the smile is to understand the threshold between self and world. But remember, the greatest charm is never performed from emptiness. It must be nourished by inner substance, curiosity, courage, wit, imagination, resilience, tenderness, and depth. And without these, style becomes shell. With these, even simplicity becomes luminous. Do not chase charm as costumes alone. Build the inner kingdom from which charm naturally radiates. Read deeply. Observe life. Suffer honestly. Laugh often. Protect wonder. Practice your craft. Refine your taste. Stay playful. Stay dangerous in a creative sense. Unpredictable. Original. Impossible to flatten. Then one day you will not need to ask whether you have the charm. Others will feel it before you speak. And this is the final mystery. True charm is most powerful in those who are not trying to prove they possess it. To be unforgettable is one of the highest signs that the charm was real. Many things are seen and forgotten. Many faces pass like dust in the sunlight. Many performances arrive and then vanish, but the charming remain. They stay in the mind. They return in memory. They appear years later in the imagination as vividly as the day they were first encountered. This is not ordinary influence. This is magic. The charm is magic because it enters deeper than thoughts. Before the mind can explain it, the heart has already recognized it. Before logic can measure it, the feeling has already answered. You do not always know why certain characters live in your heart forever. You only know they do. A smile remains. A gesture remains. A voice remains. A presence remains. This is why unforgettable characters are treasures. They remind us that art can cast spells without deception. A painted face can watch us across decades. A grin can become immortal. A pair of eyes can seem to follow generations. A single expression can outlive empires. When charm enters a character, time struggles to erase them. So when you paint, do not only ask, does this look accurate? Ask something far greater. Does it carry the charm? Does it feel alive? Does it suggest a secret? Does it invite wonder? Does it possess the kind of presence that someone will remember long after you leave the room? Because likeness alone is not enough. Many things look correct and mean nothing. The artist must go beyond resemblance and search for enchantment. The artist must paint what cannot be photographed: the aura, the electricity, the mystery, the invitation, the spark behind the eyes. This is where painting becomes sacred. The brush is no longer just a tool, it becomes a wand. Color becomes atmosphere. Light becomes emotion. Shadow becomes myth. The canvas becomes a doorway through which the unforgettable may enter the world. And every painter should think of the charm. Think of it before the first stroke. Think of it when choosing colors. Think of it when shaping the smile. Think of it when deciding what to reveal and what to conceal. Think of it when asking whether the image is merely pleasant or truly alive. Sometimes the charm lives in elegance. Sometimes it lives in danger. Sometimes it lives in mischief. Sometimes it lives in a sorrowed torch of beauty. Sometimes it lives in joy, too radiant to ignore. But wherever it lives, it gives the work memory. The greatest paintings are not always the most detailed. They are the ones that haunt, comfort, seduce, awaken, or inspire. They make the viewer pause, then the viewer come back. They create a rare moment when someone says, "I cannot stop thinking about it." That is the signature of the charm. To be unforgettable is to carry something eternal through temporary form. Flesh fades. Trends fade. Noise fades. But the enchanted images remain. The charming characters remain. The magical smile remains. So paint not only what people are, paint what makes them impossible to forget. Paint the charm. And once you begin to paint the charm, you will notice something extraordinary. The world itself starts to reveal where it has hidden its magic. You begin to see that unforgettable beauty that was never rare, it was simply overlooked. The curve of a smile, the confidence in a glance, the strange elegance of shadows at dusk, the way certain faces seem to carry stories before a word is even spoken. The artist who understands charm begins to see treasures where others only see ordinary things. This is because charm is not merely decoration, it is revelation. It reveals what is vivid, singular, and alive within a subject. It is the difference between an image that sits on a wall and an image that seems to breathe. It is the difference between looking and beholding, between seeing and remembering, between passing by and being changed. Many people believe unforgettable art must be grand, expensive, or complicated, but not always. Sometimes one unforgettable image is built from the smallest ingredients. A tilted smile, a glimmer in the eye, a posture full of hidden confidence, a color placed exactly where emotion needed it most. Great magic often enters quietly. That is why subtlety is part of the charm. Too much explanation can weaken wonder. Too much perfection can erase personality. Too much control can suffocate life. Leave room for the mystery. Leave room for suggestion. Leave room for the viewer's imagination to step inside the painting and complete the spell. The unforgettable artist knows when to add and when to stop. A single highlight can awaken the face. A single shadow can create depth of soul. A single smile can turn a portrait into a legend. A single strange detail can make a character live forever. This is also true in performance. The unforgettable actor does not always do the most. They do the most meaningful. They understand that presence is stronger than excess. They trust the audience to feel what cannot always be said. They allow silence, timing, and expression to do their hidden work. And this is why the charm feels magical. It respects the mystery. It does not explain every secret. It does not hand over all of its treasures at once. It invites pursuit. It rewards attention. And it grows deeper the longer you stay with it. When people stand before your paintings, let them feel that invitation. Let them sense that there's more than just the paint there. Let them wonder who this character truly is. Let them feel the atmosphere around the eyes, the smile, the posture, the colors. Let them leave carrying a feeling that they cannot quite name. That unnamed feeling is often where the greatest art lives. Because unforgettable work does not merely communicate. It lingers. It returns the quiet hours. It rises unexpectedly in the memory. It changes shape over time and reveals new meanings with age. Like a story retold, it grows richer in the souls of the viewer. So if you wish to create something lasting, do not chase trends. Trends beg for today and are forgotten tomorrow. Chase enchantment. Chase presence. Chase the mysterious spark that makes the viewer stop and feel. And whatever your brush touches the canvas, remember this ancient law. Technique may impress the eye, but the charm captures the heart. And if the charm captures the heart, then the heart becomes the true gallery where art is displayed. Walls may hold the canvas. Museums may hold the frame. Screens may hold the image, but the final resting place of unforgettable work is within human feeling. That is where the greatest paintings hang. That is where immortal characters continue to move. That is where a smile can survive for decades without fading. This is why some works of art become companions. They do not remain objects. They become presences in a person's life. Someone remembers seeing a face in a portrait when they were young and they never forgot it. Someone hears the laughter of a character from long ago and feels joy return to them instantly. Someone recalls the eyes of a painted stranger and wonders about them years later. These are not small things. They prove that art can take root in the inner world and continue living thereafter. The charm is what allows this rooting to happen. Without it, an image may be admired and then abandoned. With it, an image becomes planted and implanted in the memory. It grows branches and it just feeds out through your imagination. It flowers differently at each stage of life. What once seemed playful may later seem wise. What once seemed mysterious may later seem comforting. What once seemed beautiful may later seem profound. And this is the miracle of unforgettable art. It ages with the viewer. A charming character in youth may feel exciting. The same character in adulthood may feel symbolic. The same character in years after may feel eternal. The image does not change, yet it keeps changing with us. This is one of the deepest forms of magic. So when you paint, understand that you may be speaking not only to the persons who see the work today, but to the future selves of that person. You may be creating an image that they return to in times of loneliness, celebration, or heartbreak, curiosity, or even wonder. Your painting may become different medicine at different hours of that person's life. That power is in that painting. And this is what the charm must be treated like, with reverence. It is not a trick. It's not just for attention. It is not a gimmick for applause. It is a living current between creator and witness. It is the invisible bridge that allows emotion, memory, and meaning to travel from one soul to the other. The unforgettable artist learns to serve this current. They ask, what truth longs to be beautiful here? What mystery longs to be seen? What joy longs to smile through this face? What shadow longs to be transformed into elegance? What spark longs to survive time? Then the painting begins to guide the painter. This is another secret rarely spoken. In great creation, there comes a moment when the artist is no longer forcing the work. The work starts to reveal itself. The character begins to speak through the color. The smile begins to choose its own shape. The atmosphere begins to gather around the canvas like weather. The artist becomes the collaborator rather than the controller. And this is why many creators speak of inspiration as if it were a visitor, because sometimes it is experienced that way. Some things arrive. Something moves through the hands. Something wiser than effort enters the room. And when it does, the results often carry the charm. The charm cannot be bullied into existence. It must be invited. It arrived through attention, through sensitivity, through courage, through play, through love of beauty, through willingness to let the work breathe. So slow down and feel what the image wants. Look into the eyes you are painting until they begin to answer you back. Shape the smile until it contains more than happiness, until it contains story. Build the shadows until they hold mystery rather than emptiness. Choose the colors not only for the realism, but for the emotional truth. And ask yourself with every stage, is this merely finished? Or is it unforgettable? Because there's a difference between completion and enchantment. Many works are completed. Fewer are awakened. And the ones that are awakened carry the charm like a lantern through time. They find new hearts. They kindle new imaginations. They remind future generations that magic was real once. And they can be real again whenever the human beings dare to create with soul. So paint as though memory itself is watching you. Paint as though wonder is waiting. Paint as though somewhere, years from now, a stranger will stand before your work and feel less alone because you chose to place charm into the world. And there's another truth about the charm that time itself teaches. Some are born carrying it. Not learned, not purchased, not granted by applause, but present from the beginning like a hidden star under the skin. You can see it in certain children before they know what confidence even is. You can sense it in certain souls before they even speak a word. There's something in them that refuses to be ordinary. Something already lit. This does not mean life will be easy for them. In fact, those born with the charm are often tested more deeply. Time seems to challenge the bright spirits more fiercely, as the world wishes to know whether their light is real or merely decoration. They meet envy, hardship, misunderstanding, loss, ridicule, loneliness, and storms of every kind. Yet, if the charm is genuine, it survives these trials. Sometimes it emerges even stronger, because real charm is not fragile. It is forged. Many think the charm belongs only to entertainers, but that's too small an idea. The charm can live in a soldier, an artist, a teacher, a mother, a laborer, a leader, and even a friend. Wherever courage meets style of spirit, wherever presence meets purpose, wherever grace stands inside of pressure, the charm may always be found. Consider the soldier with calm eyes in the midst of chaos. Others panic, but he carries a strange steadiness. His presence gives courage before he ever gives orders. He walks through danger without surrendering dignity. This too is the charm. Not softness, but inner command. Not vanity, but a force that steadies the room. Consider the artist who has suffered privately and still paints beauty, who takes sorrow and returns it as color, who turns confusion into form, pain into meaning, loneliness into wonder. This too is the charm. The power to transform a wound into radiance. Consider the elder whose body has aged, yet whose smile still fills our room with warmth and mischief. Time touched the face, but could not touch the flame. This too is the charm, the triumph of spirit over years. That is why nothing can hurt you when you've got the charm. Not because life cannot strike you, it can. Not because you will never bleed, you may. Not because grief will pass you by, it will not. But because there remains in you something deeper than injury and older than fear. There remains a sovereign center of hardship that cannot rule. This world can bruise the surface, but it cannot command the source. This is where many confuse invincibility with numbness. To be untouched is not the same as being unbreakable. Stone feels nothing, but it has no magic. The charming soul feels deeply, yet it still shines. Feels sorrow, yet it still creates. Feels danger, yet it walks with presence. That is a far greater strength than mere hardness. And time reveals the difference. Years strip away masks. They expose what was imitation and what was essence. False confidence fades. Borrowed style weakens. Performance without soul becomes empty. But true charm matures. It deepens. It gains gravity. What was attractive in youth becomes majestic in age. What was playful becomes wise. What was bright becomes luminous. This is why some people grow old more unforgettable as they grow older. Their outer beauty may change, but their presence becomes richer. Their smile contains history. Their eyes contain weather. Their voice contains roads traveled and battles survived. Times did not diminish them. It crowned them. So if you were born with the charm, protect it. Discipline it. Give it purpose. Let it become a service rather than an ego. Let it strengthen others rather than merely attract them. Let it become courage in hard places, laughter in dark places, elegance in broken places, and hope in tired places. And if you think you were not born with it, look deeper. Sometimes the charm arrives quietly. Sometimes it hides beneath the shyness. Sometimes it awaits beneath the wounds. Sometimes it awakens only after the fire of life reveals that it cannot burn. For the deepest charm is not surface glamour. It is living proof that the human spirit can remain radiant in a world that often tries to dim it. So whether you carry a sword, a brush, a burden, or a dream, walk nobly. Stand truly. Keep your smile if you can. Keep your mystery if you must. Keep your inner flame at all cost, because when you got the charm, it's real, and time may test you, but with the charm it can't defeat you. And when time cannot defeat you, it begins to serve you. It is one of the great reversals few understand. Many fear what time as an enemy could change in the body. It closes chapters and it carries all things forward. But to the one who possesses the charm, time becomes a sculptor rather than a destroyer. It removes what was false. It strengthens what was true. It carves depth where there was once only surface. The years test every person differently. Some become bitter, some become guarded. Some become exhausted by disappointment and forget how to smile. But those who carry the charm often undergo another transformation. They become distilled. Their unnecessary parts fall away. Their essence grows clearer. Their presence becomes more concentrated. This is why certain people seem more powerful after hardship than before it. They are no longer trying to impress. They are no longer begging to be seen. They are no longer scattered in 10 directions. They have passed through fire and discovered what remains when vanity burns away. What remains is often the charm in its purest form. There's a kind of authority that cannot be given by a title, a kind of beauty that cannot be bought by wealth, a kind of confidence that cannot be borrowed from youth. It is earned through surviving with the spirit intact. When someone carries that, you feel it immediately. They do not need to be announced. Their presence speaks first. This is why a veteran may enter a room and comment without raising his voice. Why the seasoned artist may show one simple work that says more than 1,000 flashy pieces. Why the elder may smile once and become unforgettable. And why the wounded soul who chooses grace can radiate more power than the untested. The charm becomes nobility under pressure. And notice this, true charm does not deny scars. It transforms their meaning. A scar can become character. A loss can become wisdom. A failure can become style. A heartbreak can become compassion. Even grief, in time, can deepen the eyes until they carry a tenderness no easy life could have produced. This is why nothing can hurt you when you've got the charm. Hurt may visit you, but it cannot define your final form. Every blow becomes material. Every storm becomes texture. Every trial becomes another layer of presence. What was meant to reduce becomes part of your legend. The artist should remember this whenever the work feels difficult. Frustrations can become patient. Mistakes can become originality. Limitations can become signature style. A ruined draft can become the beginning of something unforgettable. Many masterpieces were born from accidents welcomed by courage. The soldier should remember this whenever the road is severe. Fear can become alertness. Discipline can become freedom. Service can become honor. Endurance can become a light others follow. Strength is not only in conquest, it is in remaining whole where lesser spirits would have collapsed. The ordinary person should remember this as well. If you do not need fame to possess the charm, you may carry it in a way that you treat other people, in the steadiness of your word, in the humor you bring to hardship, in the dignity with which you carry burdens no one else sees. Quiet greatness is still greatness. And there's one more mystery. The charm often shines brightest when no one is watching, in private choices, in unseen courage, in silent perseverance, in kindness offered without reward, in discipline practiced without applause. These hidden acts gather power within a person until one day their presence itself becomes radiant. Others call it charisma. They call it magnetism. They call it mystery, but often they are simply witnessing character made visible. So do not resent the past for hard years. Ask what they were trying to do in refining you. Do not curse every trial. Ask what strength it came to uncover. Do not fear every loss. Ask what deeper treasure it may have revealed. Because to the one with the charm, life is not merely happening. It is forging. And when the forging is complete, even silence around you will carry meaning. And when even silence around you carries meaning, you have entered a rare state of being. You no longer depend on noise to be known. You no longer need spectacle to be felt. You no longer chase attention because your presence has become enough. This is one of the highest forms of the charm. The power to affect the world without force. There are people who speak constantly and leave no echo. There are others who say little and are remembered for years. Why? Because words alone do not create impact. Energy does. Substance does. Spirit does. The charm turns even small gestures into lasting impressions. A nod, a glance, a calm posture, a smile offered at the right moment. These can carry more weight than 1,000 empty speeches. This is why the unforgettable often are simple in their movements. They do not waste themselves. They understand economy of expression. They know that power scattered becomes weakness, but power gathered becomes presence. Every gesture means something because it comes from a centered source. The actor with the charm knows when to pause. The leader with the charm knows when to listen. The soldier with the charm knows when to remain steady. And the artist with the charm knows when to stop before beauty is overworked. This wisdom belongs to timing, and timing is one of time's hidden gifts. As the years pass, those who are paying attention learn rhythm. They learn that not every battle must be fought. Not every option must be answered. Not every canvas needs another stroke. Not every silence needs to be filled. Maturity teaches placement, when to move, when to wait, when to strike, when to smile, when to walk away. And this too is why nothing can hurt you when you've got the charm. Much pain enters life through needless reaction, through proving, through grasping, through speaking where silence would have protected dignity. But the charming soul develops discernment. It is not pulled by every provocation. It is not conquered by every insult. It is not broken by delay. It knows its own center. A tree with a deep root can endure weather that would destroy a shallow plant. So is with character. The deeper your roots, the less the storm can command you. Charm, in its deepest sense, is rootedness made grateful. And consider how time reveals this. In youth, many seek to appear impressive. In maturity, the wise seek to become substantial. Appearance catches the eye for a moment. Substance feeds the soul for years. The unforgettable person may first be noticed for style, but they are remembered for their depth. So build depth, build courage, build taste, build patience, build humor, build mystery, build kindness with backbone, build a spirit that can bend without breaking. And whatever outer gifts you possess, they become vessels for something far greater. This is also why some faces grow more beautiful with age, not by the measurements of vanity, but by the radiance of lived truth. A face that has laughed honestly, suffered nobly, forgiven deeply, and remained curious, acquires a beauty no mirror can calculate. The eyes brighten with understanding. The smile gains dimension. Presence becomes art. The painter should study this carefully. Do not only paint youth, paint character. Do not only paint smooth skin, paint history.